Well, hey, folks, my name is Kevin Nardi. I'm from Illinois. Thank you for joining us. This is the final session of our 2023 Summer National Agriculture in the Classroom Virtual Conference, sponsored by BASF, the CHS Foundation, and Corteva AgriScience. Thanks for staying with us. This is the end. We're finally here. So I'm actually the presenter. So bear with me as I do the behind the scenes stuff and host this thing and run the PowerPoint, that type of thing. So we're going to begin by sharing my screen, and here we go. Until I hear something from somebody that you can't hear, I'm just going to keep talking, looking straight ahead at my computer, and off we go. So it's 4 o'clock. The title of this presentation is Books and Bulletin Boards. A little bit of background. In Illinois, we have a series of posters. I actually had these at the National Ag in the Classroom Conference. I don't have them here, but wait, there's more. I need to advance this slide. There we go. If you pull out your phones right now and scan that QR code, or go on a separate computer to https://iaitc.co/door prize, that'll take you to a place where you can sign up to win these posters. I have 10 sets. To do with this. So there's a chance you're going to win these posters. So thanks for sticking around. Looks like we got 75 of us in place. So that's a good number. So there's a pretty good chance I got 10 prizes. So you got a 1 in 7 chance of winning. That's better than Mega Millions, because something tells me if you were one of those California people that won, you aren't on the session. So with that, there's an opportunity for you to win some door prizes, and away we'll go. So I'll leave this up. It'll be up there for a while and you'll be able to see it. And now my emails are blowing up. So I just want to make sure that the world isn't ending and something's not going on. There we go. People are signing up. That's all that matters. So thanks. That means you won them. So here's the thing. We designed a series of back to school bulletin board posters. So we started with back to school. So our first one is it's a 24 by 36 back to school. It features a backpack and about how everything in the world is back to school. You don't win the poster, you go to our website, agintheclassroom.org. You can get the information from the poster and make your own bulletin board. But here's the deal. Everything in that backpack, as people start back to school, is made from agriculture. So it looks like we've slowed down, and I do have some folks that are doing the virtual door prize. Looks like they're in there. We're getting in. So I've got a number of you that have signed up. So that's a good thing. We'll refresh that. And so I'm going to go ahead and start clicking through. All right. Don't worry. There's a chance if you haven't gotten in, there's a chance you can do that in just a minute. All right. So our first one is back to school. So back to school. Our activity with back to school is all of the supplies that come from your, I'm gonna go back. All of the supplies that come in your backpack are available from agriculture, from the new jeans and the cotton that we wear to the California cedar in your pencils. On our website, if you go to our website, agintheclassroom.org, and scroll over on Ag in the Classroom, the national website is Ag Classroom. Illinois is agintheclassroom.org. Scroll all the way over to conferences. All of this material is right underneath conferences. It says virtual national conference, and you can find all the information here. But the first one is an activity to do supply chain. We've got a great supply chain activity based on where it comes from. Tracing the cedar from the number 2 pencils back to California cedar, tracing the cotton and the linen that are in the dollar bills for lunch money, tracing the paper and where it comes from. We've got some cool video links to paper being made and how it all works. So it's a really cool activity to go along with that. And what a great book. Here's a great book. If you're not familiar with Richard Peck's book, A Season of Gifts, if you're not familiar with A Season of Gifts, get it. You need this book. For our 3rd through 5th graders, this is a perfect read aloud. You're going to start school, and we have roughly 18 weeks, 2 9 weeks between the beginning of school and Christmas break. this book starts right before school starts. A new family moves into a small rural area, and it chronicles the 18 weeks between the beginning of school and Christmas break. It ends on Christmas break. If you're familiar with Richard Peck's A Long Way from Chicago and A Year Down Yonder, it's the third in that trilogy that goes along with that. The central character here is Mrs. Dowell, and she's the neighbor to a new family set in the 1950s. Small rural community, kind of how things used to be. No cell phones, and it's a great book. 3 to 5 pages for each chapter. It is just a phenomenal book. Your students will really, really enjoy it. So A Season of Gifts kicks off that whole back to school activity. Again, one of the prizes I'm giving away is the whole poster set plus this book. So make sure if you haven't won, random drawing by my intern will happen, and you'll get those in the mail later this week. So that's our first one. But when we get our back to school poster, from our back to school poster, the back of our back to school poster is football. So you keep back to school up for a couple weeks. I'm thinking your bulletin board's where it came from and how it gets there, but we're gonna not flip it over to football just yet. Instead, we're gonna go to another poster that Illinois has, and it's our apple poster. So we've got a great apple poster. So what do we have about apples? Well, let's take a look. Some cool activities to go along with apples. And on this activity, it's our apple chain. And if you go to our website, Ag in a Classroom, look at all the different apple activities. The cool thing is with red paper plates, and it'll link all of the, you make an apple, but it starts with a seed. The seed grows into a tree. The tree has to have a blossom. The blossom has to be pollinated before it becomes a little green apple, before it becomes a big red apple. It all fits inside the red paper plate. Yeah, I know we don't typically grow seeds, trees from seeds anymore, but you can talk about grafting. But for the most part, we get to talk about how it comes from. Where do things come from? So great apple activities. So again, you're already there with your back to school. That's your August. You change it a little up for September, and you talk about apples. And my results from a bulletin board. Long ago and far away, I was a teacher. And when I left, when I was teaching, actually, I was doing my student teaching at the University of Illinois. And the day before I went out to have my first observation with my college professor coming to observe me, I had my lesson plan. I had plan A, I had plan B in case the fire alarm went off. I had everything put in I was ready to go. And as I'm getting ready to walk out at 5 minutes till 5, back in 1980 something, my college professor looked at me and said, "Oh, you're the only person I have teaching junior high. I can't wait to see your bulletin board." And I gulped deeply and I said, "Me either." And I almost cried and I almost quit teaching right then, because I'd taken no classes on bulletin boards. I didn't know what I did. I walked back to the fraternity. There's a key sentence right there. Explained my dilemma to a couple of fraternity brothers, and Rocco Versaki and Serini Hijibu in the library of Sigma Pi fraternity helped me on the College of the U of I, helped me create my first bulletin board. And by the grace of God, Ted Walker, the janitor, was there early that next day, and I took down a bulletin board, put up a new bulletin board. Then my cooperating teacher showed up and he said, "What'd you do with my bulletin board?" And I'm like, "Well, my college guy's coming to watch me today. He wanted to see a bulletin board, so I had to change it." And he said, "Well, that's fine, but when you're done, put that other one back up. I've had the same bulletin board for 20 years. So I knew it meant a little different to my cooperating teacher than it did my college professor. But that idea of bulletin boards, there's so much stuff going on right now. How do you take it and make lessons that adapt to it? So our Apple bulletin board, we've got different Apple activities to go along with that. Additionally, with apples, a couple of great books. If you're not familiar with Applesauce Day by Lisa Amstutz, great book. Cool activity in the back with a crock pot. Throw a couple apples in it, make your own applesauce. A great book about how we go to the orchard and we make applesauce in class. So it's a wonderful book. I think you'll love Lisa Amstutz, Applesauce Day. Apples to Oregon. Deborah Hopkinson, Apples to Oregon, the slightly true narrative of how a brave pioneer family brought apples, peaches, pears, plums, cherries, and children across the plains on the Oregon Trail, leaving Iowa for Oregon during the Oregon Trail. So you bring that history component into it. Phenomenal book by Deborah Hopkinson. The Year Money Grew on Trees. I love this book. It is an upper level. It's a junior high book set in the 1980s by Aaron Hawkins. And in it, set in the 80s. So again, pre-cell phones, that kind of stuff, some cool references to Madonna and Michael Jackson, but a family living in a rural area next to an abandoned orchard. And the kids, in trying to earn some money, they take over the orchard. And in it, they have to work on the irrigation system. They have to learn about pruning. They have to learn about keeping things clean and how they're going to sell and what are they going to do with it. Just an absolute perfect book. Aaron Hawkins' book, The Year Money Grew on Trees. All right. So a new book coming out on September 19th, not released yet. It will be released on National Talk Like a Pirate Day. If you pre-order early, you'll be able to get Potatoes for Pirate Pearl delivered before September 19th. And on Talk Like a Pirate Day, you can talk about potatoes. So another ag connection and identify with some of those specialty days. So there's a bonus. Talk Like a Pirate Day, Potatoes for Pirate Pearl from our friends at Feeding Minds Press. I think you're really going to enjoy Potatoes for Pirate Pearl. So that's another one. Okay, so you've done your apples, and by that point in time, some of you might be ready to change your bulletin board again. So you flip your back to school poster over, and it's time for high school football. I know I got a couple people on here from Oklahoma, so it's a big deal. I got a couple of people from the Midwest. Yeah, we got some high school football. So we have a couple of cool activities based on football and how everything in football comes from agriculture. From the beef rawhide in the football to the cotton in the uniforms to all of the things in the concession stand. Don't forget about turf grass. Don't forget about corn and the adhesives. Skechers tennis shoes. Skechers, your kids wear Skechers. They're made with soybean oil and soybean oil for the plastic. So all sorts of ways that you can link football back to it. And on our website, agintheclassroom.org, there's a link to our football charm, a football charm. So you take a little Ziploc baggie and you add to it all of the different things that are representative of football, from a piece of bubble gum for the chewing gum, some grass seed to represent the turf grass that's in there, corn, beef confetti, cow confetti to represent the football, all sorts of cool things to go along with football. Okay, we've done back to school, we've done Talk Like a Pirate Day, we've done apples, we've done football. Well, that takes us to a great football book called Gut Check. Gut Check by Eric Kester, upper level book. It's a 6th through 8th grade book, novel about some football players, and some kids that are actually facing hunger. A football player, and it's hard to be a football player when literally you're starving and you're hungry. And what happens when you eat what you can at school, but you don't have anything to go home to? Great book called Gut Check. Football is a theme, but it also has a hunger theme as well. And where does food come from? I'm sure some of you might face that with some of your students as well. So we've got football. Now it's time to get into October. On the back of our apple poster, is pumpkins. Some of you were here and you just heard Dusty and all of her pumpkin stuff. We do a lot of pumpkin stuff in Illinois, so we've got tons of pumpkin activities. One of our pumpkin activities is over here. I'm grabbing it real quick. Sorry. Is our 3D pumpkin. It's our 3D pumpkin. So real quickly, what we've done is we've taken 3 sentence strips. These are 3 sentence strips. They are just pieces of orange construction paper cut up. And what we've done is we've written some facts on it, different pumpkin facts. Kids could read an ag mag. Kids could find pumpkin facts online. Write the pumpkin facts on there. You're going to get 3 of these. You're going to pull them up in an order right like this. Add a brad to it. Got to love the use of brads. All right. And take 3 of them, put them all together, and you make your own 3D pumpkin. Yeah, it's a lot like rocket science. My master's is in technology, folks, right there. So you got your very own 3D pumpkin, a cool activity to do with pumpkins. Again, pumpkin pie in a bag. You could let pumpkins rot like pumpkin jack. But let's talk about a couple of cool pumpkin books. Hopefully you're all familiar with, but we love Gail Gibbons, an Illinois author. Gail Gibbons from Illinois. Her book, The Pumpkin Book, just a great nonfiction book about pumpkins, where it comes from. Another one, another great Illinois author. I'm giving this one away as well. Pick a Pumpkin by Patricia Tote. Pick a Pumpkin. You know, it would be wonderful if everyone could go to a field where a farmer has carefully grown those pumpkins and see. But in this book, what it talks about is pick a pumpkin, and sometimes you pick a pumpkin from the patch, but sometimes you pick it from the lot too. Sometimes pumpkins are delivered to stores and you'll find the pumpkin at Walmart. Maybe you're going to find the perfect pumpkin there. Remember, in this consumer society, there's no wrong place for it. So it's a really good opportunity for you to stop and see where they come from. Pick a pumpkin and we decorate it. Again, Patricia Tote, her book, Pick a Pumpkin. What else do we have? Again, another chance for door prizes. If you haven't registered yet, looks like 33 out of the 70 have, so that's wonderful. So we've got that door prize activity there. So I'm giving away those couple of things. Don't forget about our upper level folks, Joan Bauer. Big fan of Joan Bauer. This is a young adult YA novel called Squashed. Perfect book, pumpkin theme. You will know that you are in the right place because you'll know you're in the right place because of pumpkin theme. The pumpkin contest. The pumpkin queen is being named. All right. So I got somebody that can't access it. So I'm going to go back and give you this. https://iaitc.co/door prize. Give you just a second. But again, pumpkins, all sorts of activities with pumpkins. Have your bulletin board reflect what's going on and use these different books throughout. All right, so we've got our books. Joan Bauer, Squashed, really a big fan of Joan Bauer and her book as well. Winter. Okay, so we're going to get into, we get through pumpkins, we get through Halloween, we've started rotting our pumpkins, we've got all those kind of things going on. In Illinois, the next one we have our farmers market. We have a farmers market poster. On one side, it is winter and fall and winter farmers market. Later on, we're going to flip that around and it's going to be spring and summer. But on our fall farmers market activities, we have things like pumpkins and honey and squash and lettuce, but also Christmas trees and where we get them from and how it all works together. So a couple of activities for that. Our activity for our Christmas trees is a 3D Christmas tree. A 3D Christmas tree. Basically, it's a template you can print off online, and you cut this out, and it basically becomes a table stand, like you'd see at a restaurant or something like that. But first, it starts with the seed as a cone, before it becomes the small seedling, before it becomes the big Christmas tree. Again, how long does that take? There's a lot of time that goes into this, and how our evergreen tree comes together. So a way to address that, again, on our website, agintheclassroom.org, on all the state's Ag in the Classroom sites, you'll find a variety of topics to go along with each of the seasons. Let's talk about some books that you could use in that fall and winter time. Books to use in the fall and the winter. Okay, the posters, the posters are on our website, examples of them. You can't really print them all off, but you have all of the information. Additionally, if you follow us on social media, you will find the, each season we highlight some of those things. Actually, some of our posters have been made into videos, so you'll see that as well. All right, I got to get rid of some of these so I can keep seeing them. You found the posters, that's great. Will these links be in one document or sent out later? Right now, everything that I'm talking about is on our website, agintheclassroom.org. agintheclassroom.org. You're going to scroll over to conferences, And then down to virtual. Everything that I talk about, all of the lessons, the videos, that kind of stuff are right there under conferences, under virtual conference. All right. You will have access to the recordings of this. You will have access to the recordings of this. I think I'm recording. Yeah, I'm recording. You will have access to the recordings of this later from everyone, and those will be on the National Ag in the Classroom YouTube channel. All right. Another great book to go along with Christmas, Pick a Pine Tree, another really good book. We're a big fan of Pick a Pine Tree by Patty Tote. Again, talking about the importance of picking up a Christmas tree and where it comes from. Another great book. This is a bonus book. I believe I didn't put it in here. I believe it's a bonus book. Yep, bonus book. Bonus book to go along with Christmas trees. Z Grows a Tree. Big fan of Z Grows a Tree. Bonus, this is a bonus one. It's not anywhere else but here. Z Grows a Tree, and Elizabeth Rush is the author. Z Grows a Tree by Elizabeth Rush. And this really takes the time of watching Z and her Douglas fir tree grow up together, learning about the wonders of evergreens. It's just a really, really good book. And Christmas trees don't just happen overnight. We don't plant them in November to be ready for harvest in December. It's that 7 to 10 year commitment that we have for that. So great book, Z Grows a Tree. This is one I'm giving away. So that's one of the ones that'll be shipped out to you as well. All right, so Z Grows a Tree. Time for Cranberries. Seriously, you need this book. Earlier we talked to Liesl Detlefsen and her book, Time for Cranberries. She lives on a cranberry bog. This is what cranberries are about, how it gets there. So Time for Cranberries by Liesl Detlefsen. Love this book. I'm giving it away too. So those of you who are signed up for this, that's what you're looking at for winning. Okay, so we've made it through fall. We've made it through fall. All right. Oh, I got one more. Christmas. Christmas from Heaven. Can't say enough about this book. Google this book right now. Christmas from Heaven. You're going to find a Tom Brokaw. It's a Tom Brokaw book. It's a story told by Tom Brokaw, and it is about the Berlin candy bomber. The man who, during the Berlin airlift, threw candy out the windows to the children of East Berlin during the Berlin airlift. And number one, he thought he was going to get in trouble, but how food helped win people over and win the war, and what happens to it, and the importance of food. I hope that things in the Ukraine are better by Christmas, but this would be a great book to stop and think about what's going on. I don't know if you're aware or not, but there's still a war in Ukraine. What's going on there, and food, and the importance of food. We take it for granted. It's become more expensive, and people have started talking about the expense of it, but how important food is. Where does that food come from? Not the grocery store. How do we get it to others in need? So a couple books linked to hunger and where it comes from. Christmas from Heaven. You'll love this book. If you just, there's a YouTube video of Tom Brokaw actually narrating this with the it's Tom Brokaw with the Mormon Tabernacle Choir and Mormon Tabernacle Orchestra in the background. It's phenomenal. Just need to show that too. So it's a phenomenal story. Christmas from Heaven. All right, so that gets us past Christmas break, and I'll give you a bonus. I'll give you a bonus for Dairy Days. National Milk Day is January 11th. That'd be a great bulletin board. Take everything you've done down, and you got rid of the Christmas stuff, and National Milk Day. National Milk, I don't have a poster for this, but National Milk Day is January 11th, and that is, in theory, the first day that milk was delivered to homes. It was a big day back in the late 1800s, because before that, everybody else already had a cow at home. You didn't need milk to be delivered. So you start to see that urbanization start to creep in, and how important that is. Now, for some of your students, maybe in some areas you still have milk delivered, but to some of them, that'll be a foreign concept. You get milk from the grocery store. What do you mean it gets delivered to home? A great book to share with that is Tales of the Dairy Godmother, Chuck's Ice Cream Wish by Viola Butler. Another great book published by Feeding Minds Press. Just a great bonus for National Milk Day. We celebrated that with several posters a couple years ago here in Illinois, and some of my dairy people were like, shouldn't you celebrate June as Dairy Month? Well, yeah, you should, because June is Dairy Month, July is Ice Cream Month, but we're not in school then. Plus, there's a lot of great ways to talk about the importance of dairy and livestock, especially during the winter, because it's cold, it's snowy. What happens if we don't have school on January 11th because of the snow? Farmers still had to go out and milk. It's important. So why not talk about it with celebrating a day of that? So on the back of our the next poster series we have, Illinois poster series we have is we have Illinois history. We have an Illinois history poster. So it's the history of Illinois and agriculture going together. 3 websites you should look at. First off, growinganation.org. Growinganation.org. And Growing a Nation is the National Agriculture in the Classroom, the National Ag in the Classroom website of the history of the United States, the history of the United States as told from an ag perspective. It is a phenomenal resource. There are great activities on it. There are great activities on it from the National Matrix. It is a phenomenal junior high and up resource, 5th, 6th grade up resource, just an absolute gem, hidden gem that people don't know about. Highly recommend that. In Illinois, what we did was we made our own, the history of Illinois from an ag perspective. You'll find that at il.stateaghistory.org. California also did one at ca.stateaghistory.org. So ca.stateaghistory.org, il.stateaghistory.org. Put some pressure on your state contact. Let's see if we can't find some money and get the history of your state according to agriculture as a website. The importance of agriculture throughout history through all of our states. Illinois, we're kind of partial to some presidents. We're Lincoln, we're all Lincoln. We got Reagan, so we do those kind of things. But we celebrate President's Day and where it comes from. A couple of great books, I believe that I've got. Yep, here they are. Peggy Thomas's Farmer George Plants a Nation. Love this book by Peggy Thomas. Peggy Thomas Fights a Nation. Okay. So, Philorine, I'm sorry, I don't know your name. Smith, Mr. Miss Smith, send me an email. I'll enter you. Okay. I'm sorry, I can't help you with that. But Peggy Thomas, Farmer George Plants a Nation, just reply here with your name and we'll get you entered. Okay. So that's fine. Okay. Wendy's fine. That's fine. All right. You're only going to win once. Don't worry. Okay. So let's go back to this. Farmer George Plants a Nation by Peggy Thomas. Peggy Thomas, noted agriculture author. She's written 200 books. She took her family to Mount Vernon and was astonished to find out that George Washington was a farmer. She had no idea. She did some research and found out that nobody had written a book about George Washington as a farmer, so she wrote one. Ag in the Classroom, we found it. All of our state programs, we found it. She didn't know we existed. Gosh, I hate that we're a best kept secret, but she found it and we invited her to speak. She's written several books. Not only did she write Farmer George Plants a Nation, we got there and she talked about it. We said, well, hey, didn't you know that Thomas Jefferson, he's a farmer too. So she wrote a book about Thomas Jefferson Grows a Nation. She was introduced to the whole spectrum of what goes on and the importance of that historic agriculture and what Jefferson did from an agriculture perspective. Not to be outdone, fine folks from Illinois, we went to her and we said, but Lincoln, he did all sorts of stuff with agriculture. Actually, I handed her a book and said, write this. She had to write her own. It took her a couple more years. But although Lincoln wasn't from a farm, several of the things that he did helped clear a path to help lend his agricultural legacy, specifically passing the Morrill Act, the Land Grant College Act. He did things with the railroads, right? Not to mention what happened during the Civil War and how things changed. Imagine if the the USDA was actually formed and raised to cabinet level status under Lincoln. Think of the difference between the 40 acre and a plow mentality of the westward settlement and things that were happening later, as opposed to plantation settlements, bigger farms, that kind of thing under Washington and Jefferson. So there's that aspect of Lincoln. All right. Another thing, Another great book, The Superlative A. Lincoln by Eileen Meyer. They're poems about President Lincoln. I like this activity to use with poetry. And the cool part about this book, The Superlative A. Lincoln by Eileen Meyer. The Superlative A. Lincoln. So if you're going to send me your email, if you're going to send me your information, I gotta have name, address, city, state, zip. All right, send that. All right. So the Superlative A. Lincoln. So it has great poems about his presidency, each page, and then instead of having back matter, where people will, learn about stuff in the last 5 to 7 pages, what they do is they find out the back matter is actually included. The back matter is actually included at the bottom of each page. Just a really cool look at that back matter being included. All right, so lots of great baseball things. One of the activities that we've got here, and I'll go back to it, one of the activities is our history, agintheclassroom.org, history post Lincoln. Abe Lincoln is the only president that has a patent. Abe Lincoln is the only president that has a patent. He has issued a patent because Lincoln, when he was a young man, what Lincoln did was he took materials, he took agricultural goods from central Illinois down the Sangamon River to the Illinois River to the Mississippi River down to the port of New Orleans. And in the summer, didn't have a constant flow of water. It was shallow rivers. He would come across sandbars. And so what he had to do was unload everything and then move the sandbar, move his boat across the sandbar, his flat bottom boat across the sandbar, and then load everything back up again. Now that's fine if you're doing it, but it's heavy and you got barrels and bins and all that kind of stuff. Plus sometimes even live animals. That wasn't any fun. So he actually designed a patent where the boat would basically like act on stilts. It would act on stilts and they would try to work across. Was issued a patent. He never used it, but Lincoln issued a patent. So a cool STEM activity linked with that. All right. So, all right, that gets us up to February, mid-March. So on the back of our Illinois, history poster is a baseball activity. It's a baseball activity. Wouldn't you know it? Everything from baseball comes from agriculture as well. So we've got cool activities to go on baseball and what goes on with it. Cool activity to go along with it includes our baseball charm. Again, taking a small Ziploc bag, a jewelry sized bag, a 2-inch Ziploc bag, and stuff it inside it. Stuff in some grass seed to represent the turf grass, the bubble gum to represent what the players chew, cotton in the uniforms, corn in the nachos, pig confetti for the hot dogs. All those things that come along with baseball, hide, the glove made from beef hide, from leather. Another activity is growing letters. Growing letters. This is a cool activity that we use with teachers sometimes, and what it involves is using some cheap, generic construction paper. Wonder if you as teachers know where you can find cheap, generic construction paper. The bad stuff, not very good. I don't want the good stuff. I want the bad stuff. So you take some construction paper, you're going to cut it into about 4 pieces, right? So everybody just needs a little bit. Then a piece of a glue stick. Use one of those glue sticks. Everybody write their name or their initials on it with the glue stick, and then press that down into some grass seed. Get some good grass seed, right? Press it down into some grass seed, and what'll happen is you plant that about 1 inch underground or in a shallow pie plate, something like that in the classroom, covered up with a little bit of dirt. Keep it watered. The grass seed will grow in the shape of their initials. You can grow letters just like turf grass. Cool activity. Students love it. It's a great activity to use with growing letters. So our baseball. Love this book. Check it out. This summer, my father was 10. It was out of print. I think it came back in. You might be able to find some, but a great book. The summer, my father was 10, and the importance of gardening. And what happened was trying to learn respect. There's a lesson to this as well. All right. There's a lesson to this as well. So the summer, my father was 10. The student relates that when his father was 10, he was playing baseball, and they had a baseball game, and the baseball went into the neighbor's yard, an older gentleman, and went into his yard and into his garden, and they tore up his garden. And what he learned from that, and the importance of growing crops, and the importance of understanding that garden, and understanding and respecting other people's property. Just a great book. The Summer My Father Was 10. Three Strikes Summer by Skylar Shrimp. This is a great book. Love this book. Illinois authors. In Illinois, we are very proud of the authors that we work with, especially if they write something that has an ag-based theme to it. We find them. We aren't actually, it's not my book. This is I believe this is a HarperCollins book. But Skylar Shrimp, Three Strikes Summer, tale of a Dust Bowl, Okie Dust Bowl era family that moves, that lose their house, got a young teenage girl who kind of tomboy and loves playing baseball, but they end up moving, and they're following the harvest, and they end up in California harvesting peaches. So you've got that aspect of what's going on, but she wants to play baseball, and she can't play baseball, and the issues, the trials, the tribulations that go along with that. Just a phenomenal book. Three Strikes Summer could definitely go along with baseball. Okay, I did have some folks at the National Ag in the Classroom Conference want to know why we don't have a softball poster. I got a baseball poster. So softball, very similar. I understand softball is important as well. Totally get it. This is about baseball too. It's not about softball because there was baseball back then. So I'm giving you ideas. Take and use it. Seriously, same stuff that's in baseball, going to see in softball too. You're going to see those activities transfer and where they come from, and you can add all sorts of different unique twists to this. So you've got that aspect. Next up, Earth Day. Earth Day, soil and water. I got a poster about Earth Day. Only one of you will win one of these. I'm very low on my Earth Day posters. We were planning on celebrating Earth Day 2020. I planned for a year and a half. We had posters, we had t-shirts, we had everything planned to celebrate Earth Day 2020, 50 years of Earth Day, because every day is Earth Day on the farm. Don't know if you remember or not, but about a month and a half before Earth Day 2020, that's when the world shut down. So we didn't get to do that, but love doing activities with Earth Days. One of our activities we do here, our activity for you to stop and think about, is a wad of watershed. What is a watershed? What is a watershed? So take a piece of paper, wad it up, unfurl it, and now you have an example of where the water would shed. You see the crinkles, that kind of stuff. If you use a piece of butcher paper, and have the students do that, now you see where the water goes. Now, I'm from Central Illinois, so our watershed looks more like this. It's relatively flat. You know, you get into the Continental Divide, you get into other places, you've got even bigger activities. But even in Illinois, where we don't have a lot of terrain changes, you still have water shedding somewhere. How important is that, right? So how important is that? Next one is another activity, and this is a cool activity to do. This goes along with our soil poster. We've got a great soil poster. We got a CHS grant to do this. We use an activity called Say It With Soil. Say It With Soil, and what we've got is on the edge of our poster here, we've got a number of great quotes from throughout time talking about the importance of soil, from George Washington to Wendell Berry to Wallace Fuller to even Leonardo da Vinci. One of my favorite quotes is Leonardo da Vinci, and in the 1500s, da Vinci said, "We know more about the movement of celestial bodies than we do the soil underfoot." We know more about the movement of celestial bodies for the soil underfoot. And think about that. Da Vinci didn't even use a telescope, but I mean, you know, your glasses that you're wearing, the glasses I'm wearing have more strength than the microscopes, the telescopes they were using at the time. But they knew when the seasons came and that kind of stuff. I don't know about you, but field trips have been canceled. We're not taking trips to Space Camp from Illinois. We could take a trip to the backyard. We could take a trip to the schoolyard and look at what's going on in the soil around us. So some activities to stop and think about that. Great book is Erosion: How Hugh Bennett Saved America's Soil and Ended the Dust Bowl. This is by Darcy Pattison. Now, in Illinois, you'll occasionally see signs by the side of the road that says, "Now entering such and such county soil and water conservation district." This is the formation of the Soil and Water Conservation District as part of the Roosevelt administration to help into the Dust Bowl. Great book that talks about Hugh Bennett and what he did as the founder and the father of the Soil and Water Conservation Districts. Another great book, great author, Raymond Beal, A Handful of Dirt. And I love words, love words. What's the difference between dirt and soil? Well, dirt is soil, it's out of place. Kind of like a weed. There really isn't a weed, it's just where you didn't want it. All right. So if I'm out working in the garden, I got soil under my fingernails. But if I bring in that on my shoes into the house after my wife's vacuumed, it automatically became dirt. It's misplaced. So A Handful of Dirt talks about what goes on in just a handful of dirt. And remember, in 1 acre of healthy farmland, there's more than 1.4 million earthworms. That's a big deal. And in just 1 tablespoon of soil, you have more living creatures in 1 tablespoon of soil than we do people living on the planet. The importance of that. Bring out a microscope. Let people see what's going on in soil. A couple other good books, Up in the Garden, Down in the Dirt. Again, talking about this by Kate Messner. What we see up above, what's going on down below. The Water Lady, as far as soil and water, love this book. The Water Lady, another Illinois author, Alice McGinty. The Water Lady, it's a biography, semi-biographical about about Darlene Aravoso, and she is the water lady in the Navajo Nation. So she drives the school bus, and when she's done driving the school bus, she goes back home and she drives and delivers water. Now, it's one thing to, storms come, sometimes water's out, but imagine turning on and no water. It's more than an emergency. It's more than a crisis. So The Water Lady, great book by Alice McGinty. All right, farmers markets in the spring. So the back of our winter and spring ag mag, the back of our farmers market poster, now becomes the spring and the summer farmers market. So you got more bulletin boards to talk about farmers markets. Cool activity to stop and think about. And I'm sure you have some of this around. It's seed tape. So what I want you to do is I want you to get 1-ply toilet paper. I want the cheap stuff, cheap construction paper, cheap toilet paper. You all work at a school. I know you know where to find this. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to take and give everybody a couple pieces of tissue, toilet paper, right? And we're going to make seed tape. So with this, what we're going to do is we're going to get ready to plant in the spring. So let's say we're going to plant radishes or we're going to plant carrots. Now, the first thing you do is you go up, you work the garden up, you have to work it up. You got to get the soil all good and ready. Then you got to dig the furrow. Then you got to plant the seeds every 3 inches. Kids aren't going to plant them every 3 inches, but what if we give them this? We spritz it down with just a little water. We want it to be able to fold over on itself, not to mop up the floor with. Just gently spritz it, and then give them their seeds and tell them to get out the ruler and plant those every 3 inches. Now on the tape, you fold it over, you let it dry, then you go out in the furrow and you put it down there. Now let's take some activities to go along with that. What if you plant the radishes, 3 radishes all at once? And instead of planting them every 1.5 inches, you plant them every 3 inches. So then when you go to harvest it, you pull up 3 at once and you got half a salad right there. So there's all sorts of ways you could take and make that work to go along with our spring farmers markets. Again, all of these activities are on our website. You have access to them. agintheclassroom.org, scroll all the way over to conferences and you'll find it. Couple great garden books. Kevin Hinckus, My Garden. Love Kevin Hinckus books. When Green Becomes Tomatoes. Love this book. And actually, I think it's today, July 20th, July 21st. In this book, it's poems about the seasons. And it starts as they start planting the garden. And it works its way through the rest of the year. And on about July 20th, that tomato turns from greenish yellow to red. And all of a sudden, it's tomato. And it's just a great poem, a series of poems throughout the season. And when green becomes tomatoes, that's the day. And those of you who like a homegrown tomato, you know when green becomes tomatoes. All of a sudden, it's a tomato. Wonderful book. Love this book. All right. Farmer Will Allen's and the Growing Table, another great book from our friends at Readers to Eaters. Great book about Will Allen and the Growing Table in an urban area growing food. So not to overlook urban areas and what you can do with gardens. Great book, Farmer Will Allen. Another urban book, Seed Folks by Paul Fleischman. This is a little bit older, but it's still out there. It's a Newbery nominee. Fleischman's a Newbery medal winning author. A great book about a blighted area in a city block in Cleveland. And they take it over and suddenly it's a garden. It's a great book, Seed Folks. So it goes along with that aspect of it. Got some time to talk about some pollinators. So we got pollinator activities. Our pollinator, we got a pollinator poster, but our pollinator activity, you'll love this if you're not familiar with it. Bag butterflies. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a snack size Ziploc. We're going to take a snack size Ziploc. You know, this little one right here, the little bitty ones, right? Snack size Ziploc. Then we're going to take some shredded up tissue paper. We're going to shove the tissue paper inside the we're going to shove the tissue paper that's all shredded up inside the little snack size Ziploc. We're going to brush that around a little bit. We're going to seal it up. We're going to take and run a pipe cleaner through the middle of it. And if you squint, look, we've just made a butterfly right there. So you could fill your butterfly pollinator boards with the kids making their own. In Illinois, we actually have a state insect. It's the monarch butterfly. I can make this an Illinois insect by using orange and black tissue paper. You want to take this up a level. Butterflies have 4 wings, so you use 2 Ziploc bags. You use the pipe cleaner to make the body, the thorax, the abdomen, the head. You see where it's coming from, right? So activities to go along with this. Honeybee, if you're not familiar with the book Honeybee by Candace Fleming, another Illinois author, love this book. The Busy Life of a Honeybee takes you through the entire season of a honeybee. You'll love that book. Butterflies Belong Here, another Deborah Hopkins book. The story of how 30 kids helped make a pollinator garden and make a monarch wayward station. That book's going away to somebody as well, okay? Again, those are our door prizes. That's what we've got. All right. So I see a number of you have given me your information and where it comes from. That's what we've got. It is quarter till. Whew, made it. All right. We did this. This was a 60-minute session. I didn't know if I could squeeze it in 45 minutes, but we did. All right. With that, everything. I'm going to stop sharing. So let's see. Stop share real quick as we do this. I'm going to go to our website, agintheclassroom.org. I'm going to share from there. I'm going to go to share screen. I'm going to share my website. Here it is. All right. Free. Share. Our website. All right, you got to get rid of this inbox over here. So if you're looking for where to go over on our website, I'm at agintheclassroom.org. You go over here to program and events, down to conference presentations. You'll see it down at conference presentations. Under conference presentations, the National Ag in the Classroom Summer Virtual Conference. Here they are. Here are 2 workshops. All right, and you click on it, and it's going to go to all. That's Chris's stuff. Here's all of my stuff: back to school, apple chain, farmers markets, all the stuff that we talked about. Here are the posters. Here's my book recommendation. There's the slide deck. You got everything right there. agintheclassroom.org. That is it. With that, folks, it is time. It is time. Thank you for joining us. We really appreciate this. I got a script I'm supposed to read here. Here we go. Final closing. Thank you again for joining us for our presentations. Thanks to all of our presenters. We've had outstanding presenters. And thank you to our audience for giving up time for joining us today. Special thanks to our sponsors, BASF, the CHS Foundation, and Corteva Agriscience. Please watch your email for an evaluation of this virtual conference. We welcome your input, really, we do. Keep an eye on our website, agclassroom.org, and the social media channels for upcoming events. With that, thank you for joining us. Enjoy the rest of your summer. I know some of you are getting ready to go back to school sooner than you want to, but we appreciate everything that you do, and we hope that you found some information that you can use here. Again, thank you very much for joining us, and we are excited to see you again. Look for an email that'll give you the conference information, the evaluation, and then give us a couple days to put all of these recordings up on our Ag in the Classroom YouTube channel. Watch social media for that and watch the website. With that, have a great afternoon and evening, folks. We appreciate you joining us. Thank you.